Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the one, the only, Parisa Khosravi.
Merci Dana Jan. Hello everyone. Congratulations to the Iranian-American Women's Foundation for going global. Way to go, Shirzans. Speaking of Shirzans, I was raised by a Shirzan. I give my mom all the credit for why I'm here today. She has always supported me and said that if you think you can do it, go for it. And if you knew my mom, you would know that this was no easy task. My mom is a warrior in every sense of the word, but she truly worries about everything. In fact, a few years ago, she asked my older brother, who's a patent attorney, if she could patent the idea and take on people's worries as a business. As a mother myself, I can only now truly appreciate how hard it must have been for her as I traveled for work to difficult and dangerous parts of the world. She would never say, don't go. She would always say, she would not project her fears onto me. She would just say, just call me. Call me before you leave, call me when you get there, call me when you get to the hotel. I call her no matter where I go still today. And I can think of a number of childhood examples where my mom's permission allowed me and emboldened me to make tougher and bigger decisions as I grew up. I'll share with you an example from my childhood. I was around 8 years old. We were still in Iran. We had gone to Karaj for the weekend, the outskirts of Tehran. We went to this bagh, these beautiful gardens, and all day long with our cousins and friends, we played and swam and just had a great time. And at the end of the day, we were all cleaned up and dried up and dressed up and sitting having an asrune before going back to Tehran. And one of my uncles said to all of us, kids and adults, he said, I'll give 100 toman to whoever goes and jumps in the pool with their clothes on. Now, this was over 40 years ago, so 100 toman was like $100. And $100 is not even a bad bet today, let alone back then. So I was a spunky little girl, and I just looked at my mom to kind of seek her permission. And she just went like this, like, it's up to you. And I was wearing this cute little mini skirt. It was suede. It was different color patches of suede. I see all the nods here. It had snap buttons in the front, and it was very mode, very fashionable. So I know many of you remember it. So I knew if I jumped in, I would ruin my skirt. I went down to the pool, and I stood there for a second, and this pool was a very big pool. It was a very deep pool, and it was filled with well water. So during the day with the sun on it, it was nice. It was, you could swim it. But in the evening, it was kind of shaded, and it looked cold, and it looked dark, and not at all inviting. So I paused for a second, and I just dived in. And everybody laughed and, got a kick out of it. And then my uncle, who used to call me, my nickname was Pargol. He said, Pargol, now swim to the other side. Now do a full lap. Now do it in 5 minutes. I'm like, Dai, you said just jump in. But it was actually a great metaphor for life, because we might take on a challenge, but we have no idea what other obstacles might show up along the way. So I was already all in. I wasn't going to lose on technicality. So of course, I won the bet, but it wasn't about the bet. My mom allowed me to test my limits that day. She didn't let some trivial concern of, oh, you'll ruin your clothes, or you'll catch a cold, or it's just not proper. آبرومون میره. She just said, up to you. And I know how that experience alone so impacted me as I grew up and I made tougher and bigger decisions. I would look back and say, I did that, I can do this. And as I marvel at my mom, I wonder how often I prevent my own son from testing his wings because I am being an overprotective mom. But at least I'm aware of it, and I think awareness is half the battle. Awareness. We are all so busy, there's so much noise in our world that sometimes we're not aware and are distracted of what's truly important and what truly matters in our lives. We need to quiet our heads. I was only able to do this, ironically, by taking on more challenges. I decided to do this walk that would raise awareness and look for a cure for breast cancer. It's the 60-mile walk, the Susan G. Komen walk in the United States. And, breast cancer, as you know, affects 1 out of 8 women. And I just want to pause here and remember Maryam. 2 weeks ago, we lost Maryam Mirzakhani to breast cancer, a brilliant mind, the only woman in the world who was awarded the top prize in mathematics. Our hearts go out to her parents and her family. Ruh shad bad. As I mentioned, breast cancer affects 1 out of 8 women. I wanted to walk to honor those who have had to fight this battle. It is a very important issue, and I raised quite a bit of money for the cause. However, in giving, I got so much back. We had to walk 60 miles or 100 kilometers in 3 days. I decided to do this walk because actually I thought I couldn't do it. I did it because I wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone and test my own limiting belief. And in doing so, again, there were so many side benefits. During the training, I would walk for hours every day. And a lot of times it was alone and it was quiet. And that truly allowed me to reflect on my life, what I have done, what else I wanted to do, what else I wanted to achieve. Sometimes, our calling and passion changes just because we were excited about something in the past 5, 10, 15 years is not necessarily the case in the next 5, 10, 15 years. And if we don't quiet our heads and actually listen, we might just miss it. Shirzans, do something big for you. Do something that you don't think is for you. Push yourself out of your comfort zone. And also be kind to yourselves. Don't beat yourself up. A lot of times we might fail, and that's fine. It's all about the recovery time from that failure. The shorter the recovery time, the better for each one of us. So work on your recovery time. And appreciate and acknowledge your accomplishments. Quiet your heads and listen. Listen to your own womb wisdom. As you know, life is full of challenges and opportunities. Sometimes challenges turn into opportunities, and sometimes opportunities turn into challenges. I consider all of it gifts which help us grow and evolve as a person. When faced with life's real big tests, the real heartbreaks, I try not to take it personally or become a victim to it. I don't say, why me? Because frankly, why not me? Why anyone? I don't say, why me? Instead, I think, wow, me. As hard as it might be, I try to look at it as an opportunity to grow, to become stronger, to become more compassionate and empathetic towards others. It might not change the outcome, it probably won't, but certainly, the attitude that we have while we're going through a tough time will change that experience for us and everyone around us. People are not born leaders, we become leaders by how we respond and handle ourselves in the valleys of life and during the difficult times, and how we choose to apply the lessons that life has taught us. You know, my perspective has evolved throughout the years as an immigrant, as a journalist, and as a mother. I have seen both man-made and natural disasters turn lives upside down overnight. I didn't just cover revolutions, I lived through one, as did many of you, and experienced my own life change dramatically after the '79 revolution. As a journalist, I have seen countries self-destruct as one group has dehumanized another group. I have seen fear show up as hate and intolerance, leading people to lose all perspective. I worry about how civility is breaking down. Not much shocks us anymore. We watch the news and the latest tragedy and outrage with a hopeless and helpless attitude, and we numb ourselves with meaningless material goods and are concerned about acquiring even more, while so many on this earth, on this very day, don't even have the basic essentials, such as clean water or safety. The thing is, none of us knows what life has in store for us. What if we end up in a war zone? What if we get designated into a discriminated group? What if we become disabled? Would we want to be treated the same way so many of our fellow human beings are treated under these same circumstances? Since we don't know what's down the road for us, shouldn't we, for no other reason but self-interest, at least be more proactive and help those who are less fortunate? Who knows, one day we might be the ones in need of a helping hand. Benevolence, Niki, the beautiful and timely theme of our Tirgan festival. I want to end this talk by quoting my son, Payam, whose name, as you know, means message. A few months ago, as Donovan mentioned, I gave a TEDx talk about Payam. We shared our very personal story in order to help others and open hearts and mind and change perceptions about autism. I quoted Payam a number of times during my talk. One of the times was about a lesson he had had about geysers. At the end of the lesson, his teacher asked him to write about what makes him erupt. This is what Payam wrote. Centuries of discrimination have created geysers of hate and intolerance. These acts erupt and hurt the children of the world needlessly. Teaching acceptance is my life's work. This message from my teenage son on the autism spectrum. He has been quietly observing everyone and everything all along and is now sharing his message, his Payam, with the world. Teaching acceptance is my life's work, a message to believe in during these times of change. Thank you.